All right, here is the question and answer section of the Discord and the Dev Tracker about what's going on with Wayfinder, everything that everybody had to say and the responses to it. Let's go ahead and just dive on in to this content, to this stuff. So the first thing is like Cyril-san saying, hey y'all, there's been a massive amount of news and information all at once. In fact, you might even say there's been too much to keep on top of because, you know, he's one guy and he types up all of this stuff. I know it's hard to keep track of it all, though, so I'm going to go ahead and gather a decent-sized handful of the dev responses that weren't duplicates and had pertinent information. I'm doing the best that I can to make everything clean and organized, but there's a lot to sort through, so remember to check the sources for better context if something confuses you. We're not checking any sources for better context. We're just going to make up context as we go along. So let's go ahead and jump into it. It says MMO to single-player co-op. The community wanted an MMO online game, not a single-player co-op game. Facts. That was our intent, and we worked towards that. When faced with the reality of where we are and the state of the industry, it was shutter the game completely, or the Echoes update. We wanted to deliver something people can have, play, and end even mod forever. Play and even mod forever. Oh, okay, and even mod. So they are saying that they want people to be able to mod the game. I think one of the things, though, is like people really like the game. They feel like it had a lot of potential. So I guess it makes sense to keep the game going. But what about the updates is the main thing. Nothing is changing when it comes to the ability to play with 3 people. It will just be directly multiplayer now with no servers. Very similar to Borderlands or Remnant or any other co-op game. Does Remnant have servers? I don't really remember or know how Remnant works. I know it is co-op, but it is a single-player game. But it's also a Souls-like game to an extent, like not hardcore Souls-like game, but it has like kind of a little bit of those elements in there. So that's a bit different than Wayfinder. In Borderlands, you know, first-person shooter. Looter, though. Both of these games do have looter elements installed into it. So think about that. Still has that looter grinding for pieces elements. I wonder what's going to happen with the old gear pieces that you don't need. So why did the old multiplayer go away? We had a partner who was going to handle the multiplayer stuff, then we didn't. Don't know what that's all about. That's all about the DE dropping its third-party publishing side, which affected Wayfinder and possibly any other title that may have potentially been developed by DE on the side. They wanted to focus more on Soulframe, which we'll be covering on this channel. So if you're interested in that and features of Wayfinder, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button so we can kind of beat up the algorithm a little bit as I'm dropping these two pretty close together. This video and the last video about the update. Our publisher shut down publishing. This was the option we could feasibly provide players to ensure they could have a game to play with their friends forever. The other option was to shut the game down forever like so many games before us. So why not add matchmaking back in? I can take it to the team. We've looked into it before, but I'll resurface it. I wonder what, I don't know how that works. I think they still need a server to match people into. So I'm not really sure how that all works, how this whole game was working in the back end. Crossplay versus cross-save, any of those? With the removal of accounts, there will be no crossplay going forward. And that's sad. No crossplay because we don't have an account to sign into. That's unfortunate. So how will co-op work? You can just join on your friends via Steam and PS just as any other co-op game. So I guess you could think like Lethal Company. You know, you got to send the invite out to join in. You can't, I don't think you can you can probably just matchmake in Lethal Company also. What's that? Phantasmagoria. That's a game you got to send out invites. Demonologist. I don't know, man. Is co-op progression only host-sided? No, everyone makes progress. If I join your game and we have the same quest, we both make progress. When I leave your game, all that progress carried over to my single-player save. Is progress persistent? All progress is persistent between co-op or solo play. You can collect a cool amount, join a friend's game, show it off, and go grind for it together. I mean, that's kind of cool if you have friends. Can you host our saves for a few months so we could download them for local play? We looked into it. Logistically, it's not very possible. Progress wipe is a joke. It's a whole new game when it comes to how items, loot, armor, weapons, drop, works crafted. Progress is no longer compatible, and there are a ton of MSQ changes which folks will want to experience again from start to finish. Well, that's interesting. I'm pretty curious to see what those MSQ changes are going to be. Personally, myself. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I like the story. Shuttering the world would have been better. I kind of disagree. Shutting the doors on the game would put a lot of people out of a job. And there are people that still want to play the game, no matter what state it's in. Because one person or a few people or a lot of people, a handful of people, a lot of people that bought the game in early access, don't like the game. That doesn't mean that there's not a lot of people that do like the game as a single player game. Like, I play the game as a single player game, but I always want to be available for people if they need help with something. So if you're one of those people that's still going to be playing Wayfinder in the future, and I'm playing Wayfinder and you guys want to party up or something, we can do that. That's cool. So shutting would have been better. Shutting would have been better. How so? You brought up something and then it goes away forever. I get that this is a shift from the original product, but how can never just touching it again be better? So what's going to happen to the community? Multiplayer communities will still very much be a thing. It's just not server based. I still plan on having community competitions and seeing what y'all come up with. This is no different than how Borderlands, Remnant 2, or hundreds of other co-op games work. Snarf is really putting in the Remnant 2 and Borderlands model. Personally, I look at it as like, I think Enshrouded, you don't keep your save progress or whatever. But I look at it like those games, Valheim, Enshrouded, what's the other one? V Rising, like those games where you pretty much on your own until you join somebody up. Have you ever considered private servers similar to how Minecraft or V Rising has? Yes, we did. Too much work for the short time we had to do this, but something we'd add if there was support for it. Let's see, Minecraft or V Rising. So it's still possible to have like larger servers maybe. What about a server browser? It's something we'd like to do and open in the future if financially viable. I think this what it all comes down to is just not having the funds, no publisher. Very, very, very indie, super indie game. It's peer-to-peer right now. Matchmaking is something we like to work to do if able to in the future. Financial stuff, free update or expansion. This is a free update. I'm confused. Do I have to buy everything again? That's why we are here. No, if you own Wayfinder, you will get access to everything without needing to buy again. We are doing everything in our power to do good by our supporters and have in-game exclusive items which only founders and Rune Silver purchasers will have access to. So still need the question of if we bought items with Rune Silver, what happens to those items or what happens to that Rune Silver spent? How can you track on the account? So I think there's still a way to see which accounts before they shut them down bought Rune Silver. That's how we know Rune Silver purchasers. And what they're doing is they're taking the Rune Silver and changing it over to a special in-game currency because you can't buy a cosmetic currency. So they're going to have a special in-game currency to be able to buy these special Rune Silver packages. Why the price increase for Wayfinder? Because we took all the microtransactions out. Will founders still have exclusive items? Yes, no founders items will be available in-game to earn. So people that still have heroic Kairos will still have heroic Kairos and the mount. And I guess titles, if you guys want titles to not show off. So we actually looked into gifting founders 2 copies so they could play with friends. It's not possible anymore to do that kind of retroactive gifting via Steam that you can then pass on. Long story short, Steam doesn't support doing this kind of thing anymore. So they can't do the gifting things anymore. I don't know how they would do that. How they would have to like manually reach out to people that are founders and just send them Steam codes through Discord or something. I don't know how you would do that. Maybe they'll link up with some content creators. Can higher tier founders get free DLCs in the future? I think this is reasonable and we'll bring it back to the team. So they didn't mention that they were selling DLC though. Can higher tier founders get free DLCs in the future? They just kind of said updates. Can I still buy founders packs? No, they are retired. What's going to happen in Rune Silver? All founders will still get whatever exclusive founder items they purchased in their respective packs. Okay. There is an exclusive vendor in Skylight which has items which can be purchased for founder coins. The amount of coins player gets depends on the amount of Rune Silver they own in the entirety of EA. So there's that answer right there. So if we purchased anything with Rune Silver or we had Rune Silver on our account at any point in time, we're getting all of that back in these founder coins. Whatever, not all of it, but the amount of coins we get is going to be determined upon all of the Rune Silver that we ever had on our account. So if you were one of those people that are spending like $200 on Rune Silver every 2 weeks, then you'll have a lot of founders coins. Hopefully you'll be able to spend them all. What's happening to items that were previously MTX only? Thousands of previously MTX items have now been converted into in-game loot, lots with actual gameplay implications now. I genuinely can't think of an example of this happening in the past. No, this is the first. Drops. Are they worth collecting? There are lots of other items worth collecting from early bosses. Armor sets are percent-based, so will always scale to your level. How do you randomize weapon drop works? You go into a dungeon and find a level 1 Tooth and Claw with X echo slots on it. You keep playing, and 10 minutes later for a level 5 Tooth and Claw with Y echo slots on it. All weapons and armor are now drops with stats. So there's still echoes? I guess it is called Echo. It is the main part of Wayfinder, but I didn't see anything like that when I was looking at the little screenshots. I'll have to keep looking and see. I guess when we play the game. So you'll be grinding for different echo slot drops. Before, I think they were like set echo slots. But now they're like, nope, different echo slots. How are we going to get Wayfinders now? We've made a ton of balance changes to the Wayfinders, and you will get them naturally as drops throughout the MSQ and side quest hunts. The grind has been drastically reduced. They drop randomly around the world, but some have 100% drop chances from locations. Wayfinders is going to drop. That's weird. Will we still get Echoes version 2? No, the encyclopedia method wasn't in the scope for this transition when the time we had. So we still have the old ecosystem? I'd like to know more about Echoes. Like, do we have the new ecosystem? Do we have the old ecosystem? What's going on with Echoes? Reward towers. All players are getting reward towers for free. Founders will still get their exclusive items, in-game NPC store for exclusive items based on Room Silver purchase in EA. There will still be 2 reward towers to collect items, but they are free for everyone. So those 2 early access reward towers that they had planned to get, those are going to be in the game. I don't know if they're going to make any more reward towers. It doesn't seem like it. No microtransactions. The whole point of reward tower was to kind of add in additional funds. But if they're not doing reward towers at all and they're just going to keep those 2 because they were part of some of the promised things that they said they were going to have in the game, it's just a lot of information going on, man. A lot of stuff changing in this game that we're just going to see what actually happens with it. Like when we get hands-on, when I get hands-on, I'll be able to like make more content about what's happening with it. How much longer will the story be? Has it been polished? The story has been fleshed out, more quests for it, and even a really amazing boss battle and cinematic. Gotta see it May 31st. Hey, a boss battle and a cinematic. That's amazing. Who'll be the judge of that? We have been working specifically to rework the story in this effort. The main story will end with a climactic ending. We have a whole new zone, plus story content coming when the game full leaves EA. So they're still going to be adding story content and a new zone after, as the game continues. I just hope they actually put this in an actual roadmap that makes sense and not just say, oh, we'll drop stuff when we have it ready. Like plan it out and do it on the plan. Hope the devs be cooking. Yes, as stated, we love the world. We're doing this for long-term growth and protection. If the game has an audience, we'd love to continue supporting it for a very long time. We have tons of new characters, areas, and the like, all concepted in various stages of dev. This isn't a release and run. Also, before we even leave early access, we'll have a new Wayfinder, brand new zone, brand new housing, and more. I'm so excited for y'all to see the housing expansion. Frost March is insane. There are multiple world bosses, hidden bosses, many open world dungeons, and tons of monster camps all over the place. See, they're hyping it up, man, but hands-on. I know a lot of y'all already checked out, but we got to get hands-on. Upcoming updates and content. There are planned updates and content. We plan to update the game throughout EA. After the fans will decide if there is an audience, we'll keep working on it. Again, we are making this pivot so we can support the game long-term. If the audience is there, we'll keep making content. So if the audience isn't there, like toward the end of this section here, they won't keep making content. It's pretty tough. The game's going to be long-term. It's going to be long-term. Stick to the guns. How would the pivot be? What are you going to do? Are you just going to go to a different game? And then if that's the case, what will trust look like for the community of Airship Syndicate, for the player base that were like, oh yeah, we love the game. And then they all of a sudden stop making content a year later. Nobody wants to see that. So if the game is going to be around for the long run, keep it going for the long run. And the only way that's going to really work out is if you really push on marketing and events outside of it. Now, we already missed PAX East, but there's still PAX West. There's, Future Game Show and Summer Game Fest and all that good stuff coming out. Y'all got to have a marketing budget. Hopefully they have one, or this is not going to look good. Yeah, like I got to put it out there. What happened to raids? We had 6-player raids working, and we've done the work to convert to 3-player content. When that comes out, no idea right now. How are we going to fight world bosses? There are spawnable challenges in the game. But I don't think that's really the question here. The question is, how are we going to fight world bosses? They said they tuned it down for like 3 people or whatever. But like Pyro, I guess you can kind of, sort of solo them. But at the same time, like when there was like, 4 or 5 people there, 6 people, 7 people, it was a lot better. So how is that going to work? What's some other stuff coming in the update? A new character for difficulty levels, mythic hunts, thousands of items. This thousands of items is killing me, man. Thousands of items to collect. There is now a heroic difficulty, which I recommend for all sweaty gamers. What kind of changes can we see to affinity archetype systems? Each Wayfinder now has 3 unique aspect talents, depending on what affinity you want to invest into. Oh, so their affinity system is still there. In the last video, I didn't see it in that one menu screen, but it looks like it's still a thing that exists. Free respecking, the 3 archetypes have unique talent trees. Each archetype has a unique expansive talent tree now. Think Path of Exile. So they say unique expansive talent tree and think Path of Exile. If you guys seen Path of Exile's talent tree, it's pretty huge. So don't put that one out there. Get people's hopes up that like talent trees, because I don't think you're gonna have a skill tree like this. And like think Path of Exile, maybe less Path of Exile and more Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or something. Stellar Blade. I don't know. That's a lot. It's a lot going on here. Miscellaneous. Oh, there he goes. Don't worry, it's nowhere near as frustrating as PoE Silent Tree can be. Please add a FAQ to your website. It's coming closer to launch. What's up with the PlayStation wait? Truth of the matter is we have 0 control over PlayStation right now. They're still transferring everything over to them. General frustration about the lack of anti-cheat making founders rewards feel worthless. I'll bring up the anti-cheat concerns or the lack of anti-cheat. Why can't you find a publisher to solve some of your problems? We tried. State of the industry, it is not in a deal signing mode. The idea is trying to find a publisher that won't want to take your company away from you. So they can't close the doors, but if something goes bad, you still have your game dev company. I think that's the hard part. Plan to release modding tool support. No plans at this time. Any chance of an official modding API? It's on our radar. It's like the same question. Plans to release modding tools or support? No plans. Any chance of an official modding API? Well, that would be support. Refunds. Can I get a refund? A lot of you guys probably are interested in refunds. If you're eligible for a refund, yes, we are not the publisher of record when the game was on sale. The minute we are in control, we removed it for sale. So the publisher of record was Digital Extremes, the people that published the game. We did not sell the game. DE did. Thus, I can't offer a refund for money we did not collect. I totally understand the aggravation, but that's the reality of the situation. Your options right now are to contact Steam and PSN. Refunds have always been up to the discretion of the platform you purchased it from. We have never had control over that. We've never shied away from helping people get refunds. Even at launch, we pinned and directed people to Steam forums on how to request refunds if they wanted to. We do not control the funds which were collected when the game was sold prior to us becoming the publisher. Hence why it is available to purchase as soon as we start maintaining control of sales. Why it isn't available to purchase. Major important thing, we collected $0 from Wayfinder's launch. That money was collected by DE. I don't think AS banked on DE dropping the whole publishing division. I don't think anybody banked on that. It was done without our knowledge, and we quickly formulated a plan to support the game ourselves. We started down that path and had to pivot to this once it became clear through various reasons and agreement terms that we could not support the game as it stood today. Also, there is an hour-long interview with Joe and Ryan coming out Friday on the Friends Per Second podcast with SkillUp about the game. As promised, here's a clip that'll go over live today on Twitter. The full hour-long interview with SkillUp goes up on Friday, and I'll cover this interview as well if you guys are interested.
Really, there were only 2 options for the game that we saw eventually after DE terminated our agreement. The game gets canceled, like so many service games before it, and it's just gone, or something else. And this was the something else that we came up with. And the silver lining is that it's going to be a better game as a result. But a lot of this was born out of, like, I mean, necessity is the mother of invention. And here we are. Yeah.
So it's pretty much everything that we just seen. I don't know why you show a clip of what you just said, but yeah, there we go. I guess we'll see what they say. What else they say? What are the plans for difficulty? At the moment, there are 4 difficulty settings to customize how much of a challenge you want. There are a ton more world bosses plus mythic hunt system to push in-game grind for folks who want some rare loot drops, with some of the harder ones scaling up quite substantially. The lost zones are still built to be endlessly repeatable, but the scaling is gone, so you will get to a point of feeling godly powerful on the earlier content. What are future plans? The plan is to fully convert to a finished feature complete product as 1.0 with Xbox, PS5, and Steam later this year. It's up to the market if future content can be made or not, but we will still be here for support. Have NPCs gained the ability to walk around now? They have indeed, also voice-acted quips. They do walk, and there are a lot in Skylight now. Fishing is not currently in the scope, and at the moment, 3-player co-op was the only thing within scope. We would like to explore larger group content, but that will depend on if we can continue to fund future content development. Here's a peek at the changes for weapons. This is from Cam. This says weapons have undergone some large changes from what they were before the Echoes update. Weapons have been converted to actual loot drops with fixed levels and stats. They can be found as drops bought from vendors or as quest rewards. The following is some additional information in regards to weapons. Weapons no longer level up, but drop at different level ranges. Weapon XP resonant caches have been removed. Echo slots are randomly rolled each time you load a new weapon. Rush and cross type echo slots are fixed. Players can own multiples of the same weapon. Awakening benefits all instances of that weapon. Awakening levels are now easier to achieve. Weapon essences have been removed. Weapons that were previously cosmetic only skin will remain the same. However, they can be found as loot throughout the game and applied in the style menu like normal. And there's 10 new weapons. Now we have some sneak peeks as well. Grindo has a lot of skins because it's been a while without something positive. Here is one of them. I also attached some images posted by Snarf, Cam, etc. of upcoming content previews they've shared in the past, as well as those from the official announcement. So here is a Grindo skin. He has kind of like a knight armor on, helmet, and that it's like a hammer I think he's on, and also on one of the horses. This is one I showed in the community tab. Looks like, I guess, new damage numbers. Different damage numbers. It's like a different outfit. And then here's Nis, new like belt buddy thing. More Nis in front of a new portal. And I'm not sure where that's going to. That's on that bridge and skylight. And here's a shield and sword. Once I guess Nis is back. And we have Nis on a cat mount. Oh, this is the one I shared here. Here's the menu screen again. We got some more screenshots here on the mount. This is the ones that were on the website. Here's the difficulty settings: story, normal, challenging, heroic. It says a balanced experience for those that want a bit of challenge from combat while enjoying the story. You can adjust the difficulty at any time from the settings menu. In multiplayer, only the host settings will take effect. Shard of Effigy Core, break power, echo slot. So here's an accessory here. Level 35 accessory. What do you guys think of the questions? What kind of questions would you have had for these guys about the game? Like, it's very interesting, the changes they took. I guess from a multiplayer standpoint, you can say that there's not going to be anybody playing the game, but there will be people playing the game. This is so weird, man. So weird. We'll have to see what happens when it launches. It's kind of hard to really just, they're hyping it up on the FAQs because they want people to be excited for it, but until we really get our hands on it, we know the gameplay is going to be roughly the same, but how will it work? Like, for those of us that played solo already, will we really see that much of a difference in the gameplay? And for those who have played with people, will they see a lot of difference in the gameplay? Will a lot of those fixes, like I guess a lot of the stuttering and lag issues will be changed? What about inventory? How will housing work? Will housing be like it is in No Rest for the Wicked, where you have a storage chest that you can store all your items in? Like, if you're collecting all these items, are we still have that weird limit? Did the echo screen change, or is it the same? If they're not, even if they're not going with the echo limit because it's not on a server, doesn't mean that we can go back to just having a bajillion echoes. But even so, the echo screen that we had was a terrible system. It still should have been a bit better than it is now because they mentioned echoes. So how is that all going to be? Like, is the stuff that we get to have to see when we jump in the game with all the new menus and stuff? Oh, let me know your thoughts. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, if you haven't seen the last video that's talking about what these changes all entail again, make sure you hit this video right here and check that out. All right, peace.